Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for coming to watch. So I've got you guys an update on potentially the biggest storm of December that's going to be impacting the central and eastern United States this weekend. All right, I've got you guys the latest details and information and reasons why this is going to be happening in just a moment. So taking a look here at our current radar. Okay, I want to get through this pretty quickly because I have a big update ahead for you guys on just this storm. So I just want to cover these other regions that are going to be left out today. All right, so looking at the northwestern U.S., this is the Pacific Northwest that we're looking at. The piece of energy that was left over from that atmospheric river is now starting to fall apart, but you can see some scattered snow flurries and some light to moderate rainfall has been falling over that region. Okay, so a little bit of a break in your atmospheric river, which is pretty good. All right, and then here is your system. All right, here it is starting to form. You can start to see that low pressure right around North Dakota. Okay, we're going to start to see this become more mature as it moves through the Midwest. All right, and so this is starting out as an all rain event, but you can see some rain changing to snow over there in central North Dakota. But this entire region is really going to be where the start of that storm system is. All right, we've got a few bands of snowfall moving through the New York State region here. I know I actually saw my third snowfall event here on Long Island of the season. It's actually been pretty active here in December. Just a few flurries that have been happening lately, but we are dealing with some snow there that will likely continue into tonight. All right, but other than that, we're pretty calm for the most part. So the calm before the storm is what's happening right here. So we go over to our alerts. All right, so starting out here in the north central U.S., we have winter weather advisories. Yes, these are winter weather advisories. All right, these are going out for portions of northwestern North Dakota and portions of eastern Montana. This is scattered. I mean, this is really just scattered all around the western U.S. in general. But if you go farther south, you can start to see more of just those like wind advisories, watches, and warnings. Here we can actually see some high wind watches going out for portions of southeastern Wyoming. So very gusty winds out in this region today. You could also see a pocket of, or a few counties out here, I should say, into portions of southwestern Missouri and southeastern Kansas that are under a wind advisory. So some gusty winds are coming out of the northwest this is kind of the flow of your system here. We're getting a pretty good trough. It's going to come up here in the western U.S. So that's going to bring that jet stream is going to start to dip, and that's going to bring those winds coming out of the northwest to be very, very strong. And so you're actually getting a taste of that already. All right, so taking a look here at the GFS model. So, we've been talking about this big system for a while now. Every day we've been watching this very, very closely as we near the time frame for this, and it's just not looking good for the eastern U.S. It looks really ugly what's going to happen here, and it's going to happen pretty fast. All right, so I'm going to try and give you guys the best explanation and best guidance of what we know as of now, and then what we expect to happen. All right, so this is where we are now, 7 p.m. December 7th. The time frame for this is this weekend, which I believe should be let's see, so today Thursday, so this should be the 9th and the 10th of December that we're looking at here. Okay, so here's your storm system. Here's the beginning of it. It's starting out very strong. All right, it's that piece of energy coming out from the northwest. At this point, it's positioned pretty far north. Okay, but notice this ridge here. Okay, this ridge is already starting to. It's kind of moving into the eastern U.S. like that. Okay, you're getting loads of moisture moving, pumping into the eastern U.S. Okay, so that ridge will actually fall into the eastern U.S., into this area right here, and so that system will eventually have to ride this area of the jet stream here where that cold air and that warm air meet. Okay, so that's going to slow down a little bit. All right, and that's why you don't see the storm going like this. Okay, it's going to slow down, and then it's going to get caught up in the Arctic blast, so it's going to move rather like that. All right, so it's going to kind of swoop down into the central U.S. Okay, So here it is. Here it's starting to bring some snow and rain to the Dakotas, but this quickly changes to all snow as we get into tomorrow. Okay, um, so this would be Friday. Okay, tomorrow Friday we have 995 millibar low pressure. Okay, and we're starting to see some more rain and snow developing farther south. And this is right by that gradient of where that warm air and that cold air meet. And this is where you can start to see that rainfall and that snowfall starting to show up here. Okay, but this low pressure is still pretty far north. And that one actually moves out. All right. So this piece of energy here, this one looks like your storm system. This moves out off into Canada. Okay, so that we were actually watching that signal based off the GFS a few days ago. Okay, and so I actually got tricked a little bit here. It's very tricky, this forecast, but really, this is what is the beginning of your storm system. Those flurries and bands of snow that are moving across the Rockies. Okay, so this storm system will ride that ridge. Okay, it stays with that ridge, falls behind it a little. That may bring some snow farther south into portions the northern tier of the United States. All right, so I'm sorry I got this two storm system mixed up. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I actually did get tricked there by the GFS, but yes, this is definitely your storm system right here. All right, and it kind of takes a jump. It takes advantage of this piece of energy down here, this energy in the deep south. All right, and it's also got some rainfall up here. So this is a good recipe for a storm system to develop, and this would be the recipe for a storm system that would bring severe weather because you have a very sharp and tight gradient here between your warm front and your cold front, and you don't really have any cold air in front of this. This is all very, very warm air, very unstable atmosphere, very good conditions for storm buildup, and we see a very substantial and strong Arctic blast moving down in behind it. Okay, and again, those very strong winds coming out of the northwest, those are going to bring the wind chill down too. Very dynamic storm system coming up. All right, so this time frame here is going to be this is going to be for December 9th, 7 a.m. So this is going to be Saturday at 7 a.m. You're waking up Saturday, and this is what you got. This is when the storm begins to cause mischief. All right, that piece of energy, that rainfall, the storm tries to take advantage of that, but it can't. That same little clipper, I guess that you could say, all right, that pulls up into Canada. All right, that Arctic blast continues moving south. This storm system it's not developing yet. It's still trying to develop, but it can't do it. And so you may think that this may run down the clock for severe weather, but I'm telling you guys, once we get to really mid afternoon to evening, that's when the storm will get sparked by that severe weather. And boom, here we go. We get that low pressure signature. Okay, and if we had that low pressure up here, okay, this storm would be a lot quicker. This would bring less severe weather into this region because it would be most likely tailing off to this side like that. Okay, that would be as if we had a negatively tilted trough here, but this is positively tilted. Okay, and that low pressure is right in the middle of that. All right, and so that would bring more severe weather into this region here, but instead, again, we have that low pressure farther south, farther to the southwest. Okay, and so now we start to see a pretty substantial storm system growing. Still, only 1,007 millibars, so a week. I get this would have been really even a strong storm system. All right, but that severe weather potential is really starting to grow. Okay, I don't think we're gonna get an outbreak out of this. Okay, it was a very early decision from the Storm Prediction Center to issue that I guess you could say that slight risk for severe weather on the day 6 outlook. So everyone thought that this was going to be a super outbreak, but I don't think that this is going to be as big of a deal for severe weather as we thought it was going to be. Okay, but the GFS has it quickly making its way out of the southeast after taking that long period of time to develop. But that cold blast moves its way down south very quickly. Okay, and this is a strong Arctic blast. And let me tell you guys, those winds out of the northwest are going to be very strong right into here. Look how close and sharply condensed these isobars are, these black lines. Okay, that shows the flow of the wind, and the closer they are together, the stronger they are. This is a very a very strong Arctic blast, meaning that it may not bring the temperatures completely down, but it's definitely got the strength to move very far south and push up against that very warm air, causing that warm air to surge into the eastern US. That's why we see so much moisture coming up in there. Okay, but there's a lot of moisture in a very warm environment waiting ahead of the system, and then this moves into the northeast. Okay, that severe weather component to it. Well, people have been trying to figure out if this is going to make it up north all the way up into Ohio, the Ohio River Valley. Okay, I think so based off the GFS. And the Euro also shows this potential growing for uh, portions of the Ohio Valley. So maybe that first severe weather threat area could be right into here. Okay, but I think there could be a second one at later into the storm system. All right. So when did that severe weather threat end for that region? Well, probably after 7 p.m. December 10th. Okay, and that's going to be, I believe that's going to be Sunday or set this month. Yeah, I believe that's going to be Sunday. Okay, because Saturday is going to be the 9th. All right, and this is the 10th here. So this is Sunday. You're going to bed Sunday. Okay, and you've got storms starting to fire across the eastern seaboard. This could be the most active hour for this storm system in general. All right, for the eastern U.S. and it's right in here. All right, notice on the front side, we've got very strong winds coming up from the south. These winds are going to be howling, and we're going to have to talk about those wind gusts because that's a whole different story, okay? But we've got very strong winds coming up from the south, so that means that you're going to have monster waves on the south shore of these areas, especially south shore of Long Island. I think if you're out here in southeastern Long Island, I know Southampton, there's that entire area. I think you guys are gonna get slammed. Martha's Vineyard, the islands of Cape Cod, those waves are gonna be very big. All right, we'll talk about those winds later. All right, but you've also got that rainfall. That coastal flooding is looking very likely with this system because you could quite possibly have rainfall rates of half an inch to an inch every hour. Okay, at its max. All right. You've got snow starting to show up on the backside as this cold front. You can see that we're starting to see some ridgings starting to or I guess come back into the western and then slowly descent into the southern U.S. That's going to push this cold air up a little bit, okay? And so that cold air is actually going to move quicker off to the east, catching up with the system, allowing for this rainfall on the backside to change over to snow. So I think you could get snow as far west as portions of extreme eastern Ohio, but it's looking like this is going to stay as an all-rain event, really. I don't think we're going to see some major snowfall totals, and we see 7 a.m. All right, so really this is potentially Monday morning, the most active portion of the system here. We could see very heavy rainfall moving through southern New England. These could be thunderstorms. I'm telling you guys, these could be thunderstorms. And so they move through, they charge through. Some snow showing up here in the upstate portions of New York, New Hampshire, Vermont, all that jazz. All right, a few inches of snow possible. Things get a little interesting in Maine as we do see some heavy rain and heavy snow really through the midsection of the state. All right, but this is going to take potentially all the way out to Monday evening for this thing to get out. You're still going to have leftover snow showers or snow flurries, I should say, by Monday evening. So this is going to take 3 days, a whole weekend, and an extra day to get out, all right, according to the GFS. All right, here goes the euro. Okay, so looking at here, this was the 12Z euro from today. We can see that same system that the GFS was showing gets thrown out into Canada. Here comes that piece of energy down here in the south. All right, this is what's starting your system here, and we're starting to see some storms starting to explode out there into portions of, Arkansas here, and then, we really don't see that much of a severe weather event, although we do actually get a squall line here showing up for portions of Mississippi into Alabama. So a line of thunderstorms. I wouldn't say severe, uh, but definitely a line of thunderstorms. Some could be strong, definitely some severe, possibly. But I really wouldn't expect the majority of these to be severe. But just some scattered, strong to severe storms are really possible with that. And that after that moves into the eastern U.S., you're pretty much done with that severe weather threat. The Euro wants this cold blast to make its way all the way down to the Gulf Coast of Texas and Louisiana. So again, two of the major models showing a very substantial Arctic blast. I think that we can check that off the list. I think we're definitely going to see an Arctic blast, and that's really one of the biggest reasons of why the storm system is happening. Simply because the jet stream is just so active. All right, but what happens here? Well, we're getting into Monday. All right. So this is Monday morning. It's really Sunday into Monday. Okay, we have a 995 millibar low pressure system here, and the Euro really doesn't want a organized storm system until we get into Monday as this moves in the northeast. So I think the trend for this being a organized storm and a dynamic storm, not that it isn't already. This is going to be a very strong, dynamic, just a very organized system in general. But I think that there's been a slight downtrend of how significant the dynamics will line up. If I put it that way, if that makes sense, okay. But this is becoming negatively tilted. I can start to see that you're not seeing any, you're not seeing it kind of curve down like that. I think this is gonna, or I guess you're not seeing it curve down like that, meaning that it would be positively tilted. I think this could be negatively tilted as this moves in the northeast. But, regardless, we still get that cold blast that has to follow up behind the system because of that warm air pushing it off to the east, catching up with the system that turns a lot of that snow, that backside snow or backside rain, into freezing rain and some snow into the mountains of West Virginia. All right. Doesn't show anything for Ohio. Okay, looks like mostly rain for Ohio, but then we start to see more of a significant winter storm event for the upstate regions of New York State, and we'll zoom into the northeastern U.S. here to get a closer look at things. All right, but it's the Euro. I think is more in favor of a winter storm kind of scenario for the interior northeast. All right, and so we could see that line of thunderstorms really charges through the eastern U.S. We could see just extreme heavy rainfall in general, just moving all the way up from um, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, all the way down the eastern seaboard, and this would continue into the southeast coast. All right, but we see a lot of ice and freezing rain showing up. This could actually bring some ice totals up. Um, and if I can get a video in tomorrow, which I'm very, very busy tomorrow, so I'm really going to try my hardest to get a video in, I think that it might even be worth it to take a look at these ice totals, all right, or the ice accumulations. But some significant snowfall on the backside of this. We actually can't click for sounding, all right, because this is actually requires a subscription. Okay, but if we'll maybe at the end of the video, I'll add an extra tab here, and you'll see that the dew points here and the temperatures, they line up so far up in the atmosphere, like 35,000 feet up. All right, so that's definitely going to allow for some snow, but that's just based off of one model, the GFS. I don't think agrees with that completely, but the storm system continues moving off to the east. Still, that same very heavy rainfall moves right through. You can see the Boston area getting hit very hard by some very heavy rainfall here. 988 millibar low here. And then on the backside, here comes that cold air, that cold front, some snow and freezing rain, possibly up here into upstate New York. You could even see maybe some freezing rain and some ice accumulations as far south as just north of New York City. Okay, so this could actually make its way very far south. All right, and then there's a leftover snow, and that was the European model. All right, so taking a look at the GFS snowfall totals you can see right off the bat, we don't see really any sign of a significant snowstorm. And I'm telling you guys, this is not, I'm not like skimping on the time frame of this. This is all the way out until the storm is completely gone. All right, and the GFS doesn't even want anybody to really get over 5 inches of snow unless you're in the upper elevations. All right, so we can see up in the mountains of West Virginia, we can start to see maybe 4, maybe 3, 4, 5 inches of snow, but everywhere else it's just 1 to 2 inches generally. But if you're in upstate New York, okay, maybe up to 4 or 5 inches of snow. I mean, that is plowable snow, but I wouldn't call that significant, really. Um, and you don't really see any change in that all the way up into Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire. And a storm like this would really dump snow in those areas. So why are we not seeing snow with this? Well, I'll tell you why. It's that warm air that we've been talking about. All that warm air that's going to be thrown off to the eastern U.S. is going to be so stable and so significant that that's going to keep the temperatures up enough to keep the snow out of the northeastern U.S. So I think the GFS is more of the accurate model for this. But I'm telling you, the European model is also this probably the second highest contending model for this, and it shows pretty much the complete opposite. Okay, down here in West Virginia, it wants definitely 5 inches of snow, and maybe more, maybe up to 7 inches of snow. Here we can see 5, 6 inches of snow in that same stripe the GFS was showing. Okay, but upstate New York, a lot higher, at least a few more inches higher. Did we just flash? Yeah, we just flashed 10 inches of snow here for a portion. Yep, right here, 10 inches of snow potentially in the Finger Lakes region. All right, so the GFS will show just a couple, literally 1 to 2 inches, but there's a 8 inch difference here in your snowfall, and this is getting pretty close. So a big differential here in that model agreement. We earlier in the week we saw a terrific model agreement. That's why everyone was so certain of what's going to happen with the system so early. But now things have changed a little bit, and now we're starting to see a little bit of a split. So things have been getting a little weird here, but up into upstate New York, where we saw the GFS putting on the heavier totals. European responds to that and puts it on full blast here. Now we're starting to see widespread 8, 9, 10 inches of snow. So right now it's looking 50-50, guys. It's looking really like we just got to see how this plays out because we are running out of time. All right, this thing is going to develop, the severe weather, uh, by tomorrow. All right, and so we just got to make sure that we can really figure this out. Um, but yeah, it's so different that I really can't give you an official forecast on what I think is on what the models are thinking it's gonna happen. All right, what I think it's gonna happen, I think it's gonna be a mostly rain event. I don't think we're gonna see as much snow, so I think the GFS really is the more accurate model for this. I think these snowfall totals are a little bit over exaggerated, and you could even see up here in Vermont, or we're actually starting to see around a foot of snow. So a little bit ridiculous here. The GFS wanted more snow in Maine. Just considering that the Euro actually barely wants 1 inch of snow out in Maine, and really no snow at all for Maine. So very interesting to see that. All right, how far south could the snow get? Well, measurable snow down to maybe Philadelphia. I think that's probably too far south. So if like 100 miles up to the northwest of Philadelphia is where you could get like an inch of snow, but anywhere else, really just maybe a small coating. All right. But yeah, that was the GFS and the European model for your snowfall totals. So turning our heads to the severe weather potential side of things here. All right, so we're looking at this is the severe weather outlook posted for Saturday, December the 9th. And we can see we're up to a slight risk, which is level 2 out of 5. I think this could get upgraded to an enhanced risk, which is still a significant risk here, a level risk. But I just don't think that this is really going to last that long, to be honest. And I think the severe weather threat is downgraded. But we see a pretty big area in this. We can see all the way up from southwestern Tennessee all the way down to the Gulf Coast of Texas and Louisiana, including Shreveport, Jackson, Mississippi, Memphis, Tennessee, Little Rock, Arkansas, Lake Charles, Louisiana, and Houston, Texas, all in this risk. All right, so a very highly populated area here in the deep south, included in this that slight risk. Then we can also see on the outside of that where we have a marginal risk for severe weather in this dark green. That's just the surrounding areas. That's going to extend out to really exactly the western half of Alabama. All right. But yeah, I would extend this. I would extend this marginal risk for severe weather up all the way to the Louisville and Jackson, or the Louisville and Jackson, Kentucky, um, area, because I just think that we might see a frontal boundary form earlier. All right, that would pose the severe weather threat for that area. But yeah, these are the experts here, so this is their current forecast. All right, so that was the current severe weather forecast. We look at what's driving the severe weather, and this is what I've been talking about a lot in this update. This is your moisture content here. Basically, what this means is just how much moisture is in the air. These are your dew points. Okay, and our dew points from the 60s, which is considered very, very high and moist. All right, in the deep south, and this storm system it's lurking in the northern U.S., way up towards Canada here. But the southeast is ready. All right, you can see loads of moisture coming in, and then we see that dry line coming down. And look how sharp that contrast is. We could see dew points in the 20s. I mean, we're seeing very dry and cold air moving down behind the system, and in front of it, you've got surging, warm Gulf moisture coming up here. 65-degree dew points in that general, that general, um, this general area. Okay, but we could see the flow of the moisture is going to be heading right up like that. Okay, and this is going to be also moving up into the northeastern U.S. Like I said, that's why we're going to be seeing warmer temperatures. All right, but we're in the 60s for our dew points all the way up to Tennessee, and that would continue into Kentucky. So that's why I think that severe weather threat could be farther north. And then you could start to see as this dry line comes down, we see this very exceptionally warm and moist Gulf moisture start to flow up into portions of the extreme southern mid-Atlantic region here, and that would go into the northeast as well. All right, and so now we could start to see dew points getting into the potentially up to the maybe in the upper 60s, mid to upper 60s here along the eastern coastline. I don't think Florida's going to be involved a lot, but man, it's going to be very, very moist in Florida. All right, but yeah, it's going to be pretty wild. But after that, very cold and dry air coming up. We could see dew points getting as low as the teens for some, really the 20s widespread here across the southeast. All right, so looking at your current your jet stream look here, this is your 250 millibar wind speed and streamlined here, which is basically how active and strong the upper level jet is here. And so these winds are around 35 to 40,000 feet in the air. All right, and so how this unfolds, well, here comes your big ridge. All right, it's coming in from the west, and here comes that Arctic blast coming down. Look at these significant winds here. These, you could right off the bat tell these significant winds are starting to move down from the northwest. All right, and so we continue this through. We're getting into this is Saturday here, and we're starting to see that trough really become amplified and it gets really strong. Now we're starting to see winds around 120, 130 knots here, really going all the way up from Michigan, Lake Erie, and then really all the way down to Arkansas and Texas is where we can see the stronger winds up in the atmosphere. All right, but yeah, this storm system just continues to get stronger and unfold, and as that upper level jet just starts to rip, it starts ripping as well as those lower level jet wind speeds. Every level of the atmosphere is going to have strong winds with this system. All right, But we can see these purple starting to show up. Now we're getting to around 150 miles per hour, or knots, I should say. All right, and that is continuing through the eastern U.S. and the northeast. So a very active pattern here. But yeah, this is the area to watch, and this is another reason of why we're seeing all this crazy weather. So take a look here at our current projected rainfall totals. We'll just look at the GFS for this. Okay, and we can see really widespread inch to 2 inch range, but it looks like the heaviest rainfall for now will be up the eastern seaboard. I mean, that makes sense because of the GFS obviously showing that pocket, that band and line of very heavy rainfall moving all the way up towards Maine here, but we could see in these pinks around anywhere from 2 to 3 inches of rain are possible. These darker shades, though, in the North Carolina, the coastline North Carolina, maybe 3.5 inches. I wouldn't be surprised if you could see that somewhere in southern New England, into portions of Connecticut, maybe New York City, Long Island. Okay. But yeah, this is going out to December 12th, which is, I believe, Monday or Tuesday. Okay. But yeah, a very active storm system on all sides, severe weather, heavy rainfall, flooding, damaging winds, and heavy snow is also possible. All right. So for the last part of the update, we'll look at your wind map here. This is also another thing that has been changing very frequently. All right, this forecast has been changing all day since really when the storm system was really discovered to have actually a good shot happening here. All right, but we'll start out here in the central U.S. Okay, and we're starting to see those winds coming out of the northwest here. We actually see these are all the way up into Wyoming, but we're actually seeing gusts to around 58 miles per hour near Cheyenne, Wyoming. All right, but we'll go to Friday. Okay, so here we're getting into Friday. Your storm system here is down into Texas, where you can see wind gusts really around 25 to 30 miles per hour. We don't see any damaging wind gusts. Okay, so for the south central U.S. All right, but we get to Saturday. All right, this is when things get interesting. All right, uh, we could see right up here by Grand Rapids, just off one of these lakes here near Milwaukee and Chicago. Around 40 mile per hour wind gusts are possible here. This will likely go down to Indiana, Indianapolis, gusting to 30 miles per hour. Okay, this is going to be 10 a.m. On Sunday or Saturday. Okay, so Saturday morning. We'll skip ahead to Saturday afternoon, so we'll go to about 3 p.m. Okay, and these winds continue to get very strong across the Great Lakes here. Now we're consistently gusting in the 40s. This is spreading into portions of Michigan. All right, and into Ohio, you'll definitely be seeing some gusty winds. All right, but those winds actually carry on into Canada, and then here comes your second push of winds starting to form out here into portions, the backcountry, into the interior northeast. Those southerly winds, by the way, that everyone's been talking about, that I will talk about very shortly, are starting to ramp up here. We could start to see a big pocket of winds producing wind gusts up to 35 miles per hour, but the direction of the wind is moving right up like that, right up to the area that everyone is watching, and including me, for potentially damaging wind gusts. All right, so this is the European model first that we're looking at. We'll look at the GFS, and maybe we'll even look at the icon. All right, but we're getting into 9 a.m. Sunday. Okay, so you're waking up Sunday, and you have many pockets here, which are basically where these thunderstorms are, that are producing strong wind gusts. So it looks like that these thunderstorms are going to be packed with wind gusts. So the strong winds that are going to be impacting you, if you're in the interior portion of the country, okay, that will be because of the thunderstorms. If you're on the coast, you're going to get hit by those thunderstorms with those winds, but also those winds coming out from the southern U.S. So it's kind of like double trouble for the coast, but just one round of stronger winds for the interior portion of the eastern U.S. All right, so we get to the afternoon. We get to just mid afternoon here, and we'll zoom in. Okay, and now we can start to see really substantial wind gusts, 36 to 40 miles per hour here. And then going into Long Island, we could see around 35 miles per hour. Down here into New Jersey, Delmarva, Maryland, really into the 30s for your wind gusts here. All right, this will continue up into the Springfield, Missouri area, 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts. But yep, these are your southerly winds that are producing this, and this is right. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is right when your thunderstorms will move through, and we can look at switch this to the radar. And yep, your thunderstorms actually are they're just off to the west of you guys at this point, so those winds may actually come first. Um, but I think they might actually line up here, and so we're getting into this is Sunday night into Monday, that time frame that everyone's been worrying about. All right, and here it goes. All right, so the coast of New Jersey. We'll start with you guys. Really, all the way up. Yeah, 40 round, right around 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts. All right, these are your just forecasted wind gusts. Max wind gusts will most likely be around 55 to 60 miles per hour. Those are your max wind gusts, meaning that probably your strongest wind gust will be around 60 miles per hour. That's basically what that means. I would say that I would put that out for all the way down to the Ononcock area down here into portions of southern Maryland. All right, maybe some less stronger winds down here than up into the coast of New Jersey, but Atlantic City. By the way, these are your temperatures, not wind gusts. But wind gusts definitely around 50 miles per hour. This is right around the middle of the night. We'll go further north. Now I'll give you guys for this time period the forecast for Long Island. Okay, so pretty much the same thing for the central and western portions of Long Island. 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts would maxing out at around 60 miles per hour. That would probably continue all the way up where you can see these purple shades all the way up into portions of Vermont, where you can actually see wind gusts approaching 60 miles per hour. It's a very widespread area that will be seeing these winds are expected. All right, but these aren't even the stronger winds. And the European model has been leaning towards the idea that we could see the stronger winds really unfolding as this just barely is off the coast. Okay, so areas here along eastern Long Island, and maybe into portions of central Long Island, but really Rhode Island into the islands of Cape Cod into Massachusetts. That's where you could get the stronger winds. But we'll go to this. This is really going to be the most active point for your wind gusts here. In the interior, or I don't even know how to put it. The areas that are just on the coast, not the immediate coast, but definitely on the coast here. In that general vicinity, 50-mile-per-hour wind gust. I do think though that if this band of wind gusts can shift farther to the west or develop earlier, then you could abruptly have an hour, or I would say really 30 to 45 minutes of a time frame of wind gusts that could be gusting to up to 60 miles per hour, maxing out at 70. If you're on the immediate coast of New Jersey, so around here in Breck, Atlantic City. All right. I know it says 53, 52 miles per hour, but I think some of these gusts could likely be around 60. You can see this is pretty much on the coast, 58 miles per hour. All right, but widespread 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts going all the way up towards potentially even up to Vermont, New Hampshire, but it's really down here in the Long Island and New Jersey is where those first areas that we'll see damaging wind gusts potentially we'll start to see them. All right, we're getting to 2. We'll put this to 3 a.m. On Monday morning, and we're starting to see definitely getting into the 60s here, mid 60s for your wind gusts. Getting into eastern, this is central and eastern Long Island, New Shoreham gusting to 61 miles per hour, all the way up into Massachusetts. 60-mile-per-hour winds are possible. Boston gusting to around 53 miles per hour. Yarmouth still gusting to 54. Okay, but I think those winds could definitely pick up very soon because look at this. Let me zoom out here. Down here we have those bands of winds producing 75-mile-per-hour gusts. All right, right in between New Shoreham and Long Island is where you can see a little bit of a break in those winds. All right, but as this continues off to the east, these winds will quickly die down. All right, but they will definitely not be nearly as strong. All right, but they still will be gusty. All right, after the system, but man, all right, south coast of Massachusetts in the southeastern region here, we can see right here. We'll zoom in. Martha's Vineyard. All right, Gay Head. All right, Nantucket. All right, 65 to 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So hurricane force winds possible here. Newport. We'll zoom in for some more cities. I want to get some names out here. Fall River, Wareham, Fairhaven, Plymouth. All right, Marshfield. This entire area, I think, could see wind gusts that could reach 70 miles an hour. Even into the extreme eastern coast of Long Island, Montauk. That's actually the city I wanted to talk about earlier in the update. Montauk, 65, I would say really 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible. All right, but yeah, that moves out, and that was uh, the European model, and it also wants 75-mile-per-hour winds up into Maine potentially. Bangor, Maine, 67 miles per hour. I'm telling you guys, this is gonna knock out power, widespread power outages, damage with this tree damage. Okay, if you're really, if you have flashed 50-mile-per-hour at least wind gusts, I think that you have at least a decent shot of seeing power outages and um, damage here. But we look at the GFS scenario of this really quickly, and it shows that first band of strong winds, I guess you could say. All right, let me try and zoom in here. There we go. Um, and then when we get into Sunday into Monday, all right, and so we see out here on the coast of New Jersey really same strong winds here going all the way down to Onondaga. So maybe actually 50 miles per hour all the way up and down from northern Long Island down towards southern Maryland. All right, but where do those really strong winds get introduced? Well, they get introduced around really the middle of the night, Sunday into Monday, but the GFS wants these positioned farther to the west, so stronger winds into western Long Island, New York City, now gusting a few miles per hour, over 50. Brick, Atlantic City, approaching 60, probably getting up to 70, which is nearing hurricane force. All right, these winds increase even further. All right, and now 60 miles per hour right here in the Brick, Atlantic City gusting to 61. Um, Long Island really around 60 miles per hour. New Shoreham, 60. So not seeing any 70s yet. But here we go. South Shore of Long Island, 70 miles per hour. New Shoreham, 65. Yarmouth, 62. All right, and then bam. All right. The GFS shows that same band of strong winds. Princetown, all right, 73 miles per hour. We'll go up to these cities up here near the Boston area. Gloucester, 65 miles per hour. Topsfield, 62. Peabody, 63. Marshfield, 66. Um, there's that area, Gay Head, 74, 73. All right, this band is approaching 80 miles per hour. All right, so widespread power outages are going to be expected across the coast here. And by the way, as this goes into Nova Scotia, you will have potentially up to category 1 force winds. We're seeing 80 miles per hour. All right, that is a significant wind event, and that is a very impactful storm system that will cause big problems for millions across the eastern US. So that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for coming to watch. I'll see you guys in the next video. Gonna hope to try and do one tomorrow because I need to get the last information on this out before the storm hits. All right, but I'll types of weather are in play: severe weather, cold blast, snow, heavy rainfall, excessive rainfall, flooding, and damaging wind gusts are all in play, and this is just going to cause nothing but trouble for the eastern U.S. That area out here along the eastern seaboard that I'm watching, especially southern New England, could be, could see gusts up to 70 miles per hour, which is around Category 1 force. All right, so I'll keep you guys posted on whatever happens weather-wise, but mainly with the system as we get through this weekend. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.